Meg's always been one of the craziest characters on Family Guy, but what's the most insane thing she's done? Well, we subjected ourselves to hours of Meg moments to create our longest list yet, filled with disturbing content, all to find out what the most psychotic thing Meg's ever done is. And this list doesn't start gently, as we're opening with the time she decided to rob the elderly of a lot of her belongings. So in The Heartbreak Dog, Meg gets assigned to a retirement home for volunteer work, and the reception to her is about the same as anywhere else.
And between you and me, I hate my new student volunteer. That ugly little Meg.
Gotta love old people. They've been hating things for years, but now that they've been alive a long time, they get a free pass to just be as rude as they want. Can't wait for that. That's the endgame, baby. But Meg finds a way to get a little compensation for all this torture.
Oh my god, I can't believe I stole this. You know what? I don't feel bad. That woman's a nightmare.
And it's not like they can take it with them, right? Unless you want to swallow your belongings first. Gets you right through the metal detectors when you get to heaven. So Meg goes full-on klepto, and even eventually gets Chris in on her sticky-fingered game.
You died, and I'm here to take you to heaven. Upsy daisy, here we go.
The two eventually realize the error of their ways and return everything, but it's hard to ignore just how severe their problem got. Stealing doesn't make you a psycho, but stealing this much stuff, probably because they just didn't want the old people to have it, is pretty crazy when you stop and think about it. But crazy doesn't even begin to cover one of Meg's favorite hobbies, being taking pictures of dead squirrels. So in Boys and Squirrels, Peter cuts down a tree that ends up killing 2 squirrels and leaves their baby without a home.
Nobody touched the smush squirrel bodies. Ooh, I gotta get my camera.
I wanna be disgusted, but hey, at least the girl's got herself a hobby. She didn't do the killing, but her excitement over getting to photograph some flat corpses doesn't make the situation any better. Stewie pretty much sums it up perfectly.
That girl is one giant red flag.
And it's not the only red flag she has, as we learn that Meg partakes in the vandalism of the home of an important historical figure. So in Crisscross, Meg catches Chris stealing money from his parents and decides to take advantage of the situation.
How about I won't tell mom and dad about the money if you promise to do whatever I say?
Yeah, I'd be more comfortable with the devil making this deal than Meg. We know she's into some freaky stuff, as we quickly find out.
Ah, what happened to your eye?
Don't worry about it, just put the lens in.
But the thing that really lands her on this list is the revelation of a little hobby she has.
I'm part of a group that kind of trashes Anne Frank's house every year.
Somehow I think kind of trashes isn't painting us the full picture. Why does Meg have such a beef with a dead girl all the way out in the Netherlands? No clue. Meg is one hard puzzle to figure out, but she's one probably best left alone. But she shouldn't be left alone with her siblings, especially when she and Chris knocked Stewie out and tried to cover it up instead of getting him some help. So in Brian Griffin's House of Pain, Meg and Chris's roughhousing ends up causing a casualty.
Well, I'm off to buy imaginary groceries.
Oof, probably should have imaginary Instacarted those instead. The world's a dangerous place for babies.
Is he breathing?
It looks like it. That's a good sign, right?
I mean, that's the bare minimum for someone to be alive, but I wouldn't say anything about this situation can be classified as good.
Chris, I'm worried. Stewie's still unconscious.
Maybe he's just sleeping.
Yeah, he's just letting the old brain breathe. It's good to get some fresh air directly on the folds of your brain every now and then. So instead of trying to get him any real medical help, they just decide to puppet him around Weekend at Bernie's style. Or maybe Weekend at Benson's if you're born after the 80s.
How's the food, Stewie? Oi, blimey, it's a right delicious, I do declare. Waka waka.
Well, he's in the right ballpark, but he's playing with the wrong kind of ball. So who knows how many days pass, but the siblings still try to cover up that gaping wound instead of taking him to the hospital.
Question, how long has Stewie been unconscious?
Oh my god, Chris, he knows.
Not only does he know, but he's actually a purveyor of knocking children out, and he knows exactly how to make things better.
Oh my god, Stewie!
I should have clarified that it would make things better for everyone but Stewie. So this is one of those rare instances on this list where Meg actually gets out-psychoed by everyone else in the family. She did want to do the right thing, but even agreeing to go this long with the charade is a minor yet obvious sign that she's got a few screws loose. And she'd make good use of Peter's loose screws when she took advantage of Peter's role as principal to punish her peers who crossed her. So in the Peter Principal, Principal Shepard is let go after one of his many breakdowns. To maintain balance in the universe, they'll probably want to get someone just as incompetent as him.
Any volunteers?
I'll be your new principal.
Yep, that fits the bill. I guess days at the brewery are pretty slow. While Meg resents this decision at first, she soon realizes the benefits of having your dad as the principal.
Get on your knees and lick that up.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm the principal.
And that means he's legally obligated to make you do things that border on fetish content. Gotta let them know they need to keep up their studies or else they'll be licking sticky liquid off the floor for a living. And the mopping job market is not great right now. So Meg weaponizes her dad to make him punish people who have wronged her.
What did I do?
You know what you did, Jeff!
I don't even know what's going on!
He probably rejected her in a dream she had. Should have thought twice about letting people dream about you, Jeff. Luckily, Peter gets absolved of his duties before he can do any lasting damage, and Meg learns her lesson. Kind of. I don't think she actually regrets any of this. Which, like, fair. Sometimes the best kind of crazy is an agreeable crazy. But she definitely wasn't agreeable when she mercilessly beat up a man in a road rage incident. So in Road to Rupert, Peter loses his driver's license after a reckless stunt and needs somebody to drive him around.
Meg.
Yeah, Dad. I don't mind driving you around till you get your license back.
What? Lois, this is the best you could do?
Let's get one thing straight. Meg is never the best anyone could do, but she's reliable and sturdy like a good Nokia phone. Wonder if you can play Snake on Meg too. But the whole ordeal proves to be more torturous for Meg than for Peter.
I want apple juice.
Dad, you left your apple juice at home.
I want apple juice.
Don't you hate it when kids are in that stage of their life, over 40 and dumber than a ton of rocks? And things end up going a bit too far when Peter gets his drunk buddies involved.
Hey, Meg, I lit your scalp on fire.
Don't worry, I'll put it out.
In a just world, she'd be within her legal right to destroy them. But when someone ends up rear-ending Meg, that target's passed on to the unlucky jerk looking to start a fight.
What the hell is your problem, you dumb bimbo? God, stop!
Sometimes it just takes an aura to the face to realize how silly road rage is. We definitely think she went a bit overboard here, but Meg's violent outburst is pretty justified with the day she's been having. Not exactly psycho, but just unhinged enough to make this list. But next on the list is the time Meg had her first womanly experience with Santa Claus, making her obsessed with chasing that high. So when Christmas is coming, Meg sits on Santa's lap with Stewie to comfort him, but she enjoys the experience a bit too much.
And he makes everyone feel so...
Meg, what are you doing?
Oh, just having her entire outlook on life altered beyond comprehension. That's what the Christmas season is all about, baby.
What just happened?
But when Meg can't find that same Santa, she goes to every mall she can to harass each Santa until they can give her the ride she's looking for.
Where's my Santa?
I don't know!
I need to find him. He made me a woman!
I don't think I've ever seen a rabid stan for Santa, but now I'm morbidly curious to see if they exist in real life. Like the same rabid mentality for a K-pop band, but for Santa. Sounds funny and very frightening. But after going to every mall in the area, which can't be many nowadays, Meg finally ends up meeting her Santa in a dark parking lot.
Oh my God, there's a bench right over there. Quick, let me sit on your leg.
No, that's not what I'm here for.
But it turns out this is the real Santa, and that little experience Meg had on his lap was his gift to her this Christmas. That's kind of freaking weird, man. Do you understand the hormone monster you created and let run all over town? Well, thankfully no one got hurt and mental scarring was kept to a minimum, but this was once again an example of Meg's obsessive nature nearly ruining an entire holiday for everyone. But mental scarring was not kept to a minimum when we learned that Meg is keeping a bit more than books inside her school locker. So in a fistful of Meg stops by her locker for a little surprise.
Mama! What are you doing out of your box?
Okay, so several questions. For starters, 3 letters, W, T, and F. Secondly, who ended up having a baby with Meg? I mean, congrats on scoring, Meg, but this consolation prize does not seem worth it. Thirdly, why are you even keeping it in your locker? Those metal walls are gonna bass boost that thing's crying to the point where the entire town might hear it. Lastly, I'm kinda surprised she went through with it considering, well, you know.
What is your abortion stance?
It's pretty much this.
Exactly. Well, I'd say props for giving that baby a life, but I don't know what kind of life you can have in there. But Meg's life on the internet was almost her downfall, as she got way too into eating for content, leading to her gaining weight and a multitude of health problems. So when girl interneted, Meg ends up becoming an internet celebrity by consuming copious amounts of food.
Best part about these bad boys? Don't even have to cook them. Cook them right in your stomach!
What has the internet become? Back in the day, you had to be a funny cat or have a terrible haircut to be famous. Now you can just stuff your face with food and they'll make you the Pope. But Meg ends up skipping the food and just going straight for the ingredients.
Everything here is made with corn syrup! Just drink the corn syrup!
So one diabetes drug sponsorship and disintegrating foot later, and Meg's gone from eating potatoes to becoming one.
Bad sugars and starches are the bomb!
She's kinda right. Eat enough of that stuff and it'll have your organs looking like the testing zone for the Manhattan Project. But it takes losing both of her feet and influencing others to get dangerously unhealthy to finally snap Meg back to reality. We knew Meg was self-destructive before, but this is taking it to a whole new level. But we guess the internet has made a habit of rewarding overeating as long as you're recording it for others' sick satisfaction. So don't be expecting any sweaty clam mukbangs anytime soon. But you can expect more psycho Meg behavior as we learn what she thinks dying is like from a disturbing little experiment. So in the episode April and Quahog, the family learns of some shocking news.
NASA has made the alarming announcement that the newly discovered black hole at the edge of our solar system appears to be expanding.
Normally, words like hole and expanding would just give Quagmire a good excuse for a giggity, but as we come to learn, the situation is very much not giggity.
Which means that all life on Earth will be destroyed within 24 hours.
Oh my God!
This is just a friendly reminder that whenever you hear earth-shattering news, be sure to check the calendar first and make sure April didn't just start. But before they learn this was all a prank, the family starts to wonder what it's like to die.
But from the look in the stray cat's eyes when you're pushing on its windpipe, I think it's pretty terrifying.
You know what's really terrifying? Us not knowing if this was just a one-off experience for Meg or if this was a repeated experiment to study a creature's last moments before death. Either way, this complete lack of empathy is definitely evidence of Meg's psychotic behavior, and it's making me glad that clams don't have windpipes. But I wish clams also didn't have eyes, as next up is the time Meg ended up making out with her brother in the closet at a Halloween party, and didn't hate nearly as much as she should have. So when Halloween on Spooner Street, Meg and her friends come up with a plan to guarantee she'll get her smooch on at a Halloween party.
If we wear our masks and we don't take them off for the whole party, the boys won't know who we are, and we'll have a better chance of hooking up.
Yeah, as long as you don't talk or maybe even smell the same, it just might work. The smell thing is accurate, by the way. Hormone-riddled teens become bloodhounds at the sheer thought of kissing. And when it comes time to spin that bottle, Meg finds her companion for the night.
All right, Cat and Optimus Prime, into the closet.
The plot of this new Transformers movie is weird, but hey, I'm down to see where it goes. But after 27 minutes in heaven, it's time for them to move on, but I don't think anyone's gonna move on from this.
Chris?
Meg?
Yeah, this is the kind of act that places a curse on their family for many moons. At least they have the decency to have the right reaction.
We're disgusting! We're a disgrace to our family!
Okay, so the act itself is pretty psycho, but maybe we could cut Meg some slack because of plausible deniability. You could say that. Heck, I wish I could say that. But by the end of the night, Meg actually sees this as a positive.
I hooked up with a guy tonight. A high school guy. And I think maybe he'll call tomorrow.
You may be disappointed.
I know I already am. If she had just denounced the act, we probably would have left it off this list. But to come in right before the buzzer to see the positive side of this definitely takes the kind of insanity that's perfect for this list. And what else was perfect for the list was the time we see Meg decide to use a pack of hot dogs in a way not exactly recommended on the packaging. So we return to A Fistful of Meg, where Meg runs afoul of the school's brand new bully.
3 o'clock, Friday. I will destroy you.
What an absolute gentleman. A real psycho wouldn't give you a time and place like that, they just off you on the spot. What a cool guy. Naturally, Meg wants to avoid getting punched until she becomes a puddle, so she devises a way to get expelled from school.
That sex tape I released should be everywhere by now, and then they'll have to kick me out of the school.
And judging by that plate of hot dogs in the thumbnail, you can probably guess what she does with them. Can't you just make a regular adult video like the rest of us? Well, at least she's got one supporter.
You know what? Good for her.
Good for her? It's not gonna be good for the next person who goes in the fridge looking for a summer snack. Luckily, Meg survives the fight, only to die later on from hot dog-related injuries.
A year later, my body reacted to a frozen hot dog, and I died of septic shock.
Hey, at least she died doing what she loved. We should all hope to be so lucky. And we felt lucky getting a Simpsons crossover, only to have it ruined by Meg having an interesting way of thanking Lisa Simpson for being her friend. So when the Griffins meet the Simpsons in The Simpsons Guide, Lisa tries to help Meg find the one thing she's good at.
Meg, you need to know that you matter.
Really? No one's ever told me I mattered before.
Which is weird because she does matter to a lot of people. Anytime someone needs a self-esteem boost, they just look at her and feel all better. But maybe we can find a more meaningful way she can matter. But after seemingly failing at everything, Meg finds something she's actually good at. Yeah, I guess it would make sense that Meg would be good at a music genre revolving around sorrow and melancholy. She's got blues in her soul. So Meg decides to thank Lisa for this awakening by immortalizing her.
Thanks for being so cool, Lisa. I cut your name in my arm so I'll always remember you.
How touching. You know, most people get the names of people they like tattooed, not Victor Zazzing yourself. They say it's the thought that counts, but I bet a few more thoughts before doing anything probably couldn't hurt either. But Meg did end up hurting Brian when she fell madly in love with him to the point where she ended up kidnapping the dog. So in Barely Legal, Meg's upset that she doesn't have anyone to take as a date to the school dance.
I'm sure you'll find someone to go with you.
No, I won't! I'm so fat and gross!
Well, if that's how you've been advertising yourself, I can understand why people are hesitant. You gotta pick yourself up, girl. Use your moneymaker. I don't know what part of you that is, but that's for you to figure out.
Brian, will you go with me?
Are you gonna kill yourself if I don't?
Yeah!
Well, then my hands are pretty much tied.
Is going to a dance with your dog somehow more pathetic than going with your dad? Well, either of them is probably better than making out with your dog at said dance.
Thanks, Brian.
Well, can't say this is going to lead to love, but it is probably going to lead to a most likely to tongue a dog superlative in the yearbook. Brian tries to make it clear that the kiss was a drunken mistake and nothing else, but he's already let the shark smell blood in the water. Not long until Meg rolls her eyes into the back of her head and chomps down.
You and I are friends, and that's the way it needs to stay.
Sounds reasonable, but what are the voices in Meg's head's input on this? After all, they're the ones Meg listens to the most.
I love you too, Brian. And you love me. You do love me, Brian.
But maybe Meg can win him over with some good old-fashioned flirting.
My hair is in the pie, Brian. And now it's inside of you.
Classic pickup line. I think this is how my parents got together too. But one shrine that would make a pagan god blush later, and Brian spells it out plainly for Meg.
You're acting like a psycho.
You're acting like a psycho.
You know it's serious when you gotta bring in a guy who specializes in communicating with the deaf for backup. But ironically, Brian's statements fall on deaf ears, and Meg realizes she'll just have to show Brian how much he loves her. Oh look, this is how my parents' first date started too. So Meg takes Brian to a hotel to have a nice bondage date with plenty of fire hazards surrounding them. Something's telling me that Brian's praying for one of those candles to fall over and send this whole place up in flames.
Are you ready?
For what?
For the fun we're gonna have, Brian. We're gonna have fun tonight.
Thankfully, this all gets stopped before any quote-unquote fun can happen. Meg learns her lesson, kinda, but it still doesn't make this whole situation any less icky. This is one of Meg's earliest examples of true psychosis, and it's certainly one of the most memorable ones. But Meg was also forced to learn her lesson in prison, which turned her into a hardened criminal who terrorized her entire family. So when Dial Meg for murder, Meg starts dating a convict who ends up breaking out of jail to come visit her.
How did you get out? I filed down a toothbrush to a fine point and stabbed the guard with the most kids.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Just a little prison comedy for you. Luke must have been sharing cells with Bill Cosby. But his freedom is short-lived as he ends up getting apprehended by Joe, and Meg ends up taking part of the fall.
You're under arrest for harboring an escaped convict.
Oh, well, that's only fair because after all, I did hide him from the— What?
Hey, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You should be playing smart games like that Carnival water gun game and winning smart prizes like a big Snoopy. And after a few months away, I'm sure Meg's gonna be happy and relieved to be home.
I'm home. You're all my now.
Okay.
Well, the universal rule is that the person in the house with the most tattoos calls the shots, and I don't see any sleeves or tramp stamps on you, Peter.
My house now.
Sounds like she was attending the Jesse Pinkman School of Linguistics while she was in there. Now that she's home, her crimes range from shower time assaults.
What are you doing with that loofah?
Don't worry about it.
Aggressive recycling tactics. And coercion to punch an infant.
You fatso, punch your baby in the face.
I did good, Meg.
Shut up.
Yeah, some people just want to commit crimes. Can we really blame them? All that time they spend in prison really gets in the way of letting them commit those crimes. But Meg caps off her spree with a little kidnapping, forcing Brian to drive Meg to the pharmacy to rob it.
Hands in the air, Goldman!
Oh my God! What are you doing?
Give me your money!
Robbing businesses ain't easy work, but it's honest work. Luckily, Brian manages to talk Meg down and convinces her to return to her old pushover ways. Well, convict Meg was fun while it lasted. Not for anyone in the family, but for the psychos watching at home who enjoy seeing the family get their teeth kicked in every once in a while. And this wasn't her only run-in with the law, as up next is the time Meg hallucinated herself a criminal boyfriend that she thought she was engaging in a crime spree with. So in Hard-Boiled Meg, Meg's getting her freak on at the bowling alley, eating mustard packets and harassing patrons when she meets a young drifter named Seymour.
I could use a ride home.
Yeah, like I'm really gonna let some hot piece of ass in my car.
Well, if she plays her cards right, she could be driving home his whole body, not just a piece of his butt. But their ride home takes a bit of a detour when Seymour wants to hit up his side gig.
Let's go, Meg! Drive!
You know what? Good on them for having an interesting first date and not being buried in their phones. The kids are gonna be alright. With Meg behind the wheel, the two become the hottest new Bonnie and Clyde since Bonnie and Clyde.
All right, Meg. That was awesome. Where have you been all my life?
But these two lovebirds fly too close to the sun, leading to a job that goes sideways fast.
Suddenly Seymour.
Seymour!
Yeah, that's what happens when you're handed the aux and start playing musical numbers. So this leaves Meg to evade the police herself, but she ends up being saved by Chris after crashing the car.
Meg, there never was a Seymour. Think about it.
So apparently, Seymour and all the heists they went on were just figments of Meg's imagination brought on by a batch of expired mustard packets. I always knew that condiment was bad news. It's hot sauce or nothing in my house. This would probably be much higher if all this stuff had actually happened, but this is that genuine premium grade psychosis, so it's definitely worth talking about regardless. And now we're into the top 10, kicking things off with the time Meg tried to take over Bonnie's life as Joe's husband and Susie's mom, only to paralyze herself when it didn't work. So in The Hand That Rocks the Wheelchair, Bonnie goes out of town and Meg is tasked with helping look after Joe and Susie.
I really appreciate you helping me out these past couple of days. Sorry I bit you yesterday.
Hey, she had it coming. She acted like she threw the ball, but then it was still in her hand. Sometimes you do gotta bite the hand that feeds you. And of course, after Joe shows her a crumb of kindness, Meg starts to fall madly in love with him.
Yeah, that's my boyfriend.
These young kids move so quickly these days. All it takes is a few compliments and a few seconds of unbroken eye contact and boom, you're pregnant. Not really, but you know, metaphorically. So Meg starts testing the waters, dressing up and acting more marital around Joe.
What's with the getup?
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to look sexy for Susie.
I promise you, Meg, the child eating single Cheerios off a high chair could not give a flying freak about your curbside appeal. But eventually it becomes apparent that Meg's fantasy will be coming to an end soon.
I'll be flying back first thing in the morning.
That's great, too.
Look, when you see how bad Meg wants this, you do kind of have to hand it to her. She steals Joe's gun, drives 4+ hours to the main airport Bonnie's flying out of, and plants the gun in Bonnie's suitcase so she'll get arrested.
Ma'am, this bag contains a concealed weapon. I'm gonna have to place you under arrest.
Honestly, Bonnie should just give her wedding ring to Meg at this point because she clearly wants this relationship more than Bonnie does. Unfortunately, Joe doesn't feel the same way, as evidenced by his reaction to seeing Meg breastfeed Susie.
Oh God! Oh!
This feels right, but it tastes like a dirty penny.
Yeah, might have to toss the whole baby out and get a new one after that. So Lois tries to talk some sense into her, telling her that they have nothing in common. Which makes sense, but maybe Meg could take up one of Joe's hobbies. Or she could do that. Did she think Joe was just sitting in that chair because it looked comfy? Thankfully, her self-paralyzing stunt didn't succeed, and it was enough to finally give her some clarity. But still, this is easily one of the most messed up things Meg has done that doesn't involve killing anybody. It just makes everyone around her wish they were dead, which may not be better. And the next on our list isn't any better, as we have the time Meg ended up going to jail for assaulting criminals who broke into her house. So in untitled Griffin family history, the house is broken into, leading the family to take shelter in their attic's panic room.
Oh my God, we're all gonna die!
That's not true. We'll survive by eating each other.
What do you think the order of that'll be? I mean, Meg is the obvious first, but I'm curious how they decide after that. But before they resort to that, they realize they can just shove Meg down a vent so she can get them some food. Never mind getting help, the munchies come first.
We need to grease her up so she doesn't get stuck. Everybody spit on Meg!
Stop! You got stop!
But she doesn't make it all that far, getting grabbed by the home invaders. But as it turns out, this is just one of her fantasies come to life.
She asked if we were gonna have our way with her.
No, seriously, I won't scream or anything.
You may think you're desperate for attention, but you'll never be begging burglars to have their way with you levels of desperation like Meg is. But it all works out in the end because all this pushiness actually makes them call the cops on her.
Unfortunately, they're pressing sexual harassment charges against your daughter.
It's a pretty messed up way to save the day, but she's still a hero nonetheless. A touch-deprived, mentally unbalanced hero, but a hero nonetheless. But she definitely wasn't a hero in our eyes when we got a hint that Meg may or may not have killed a former sibling. So in Let's Go to the Hop, Lois and Peter find a psychedelic toad with Chris's school stuff and go to confront him on it.
Hey, maybe it's Meg's toad.
Oh, now don't you try to pawn this off on your sister. She's a good girl.
Well, this is Season 2 Meg we're talking about. She's not exactly the deranged lunatic she'd be known as quite yet, but it sounds like Chris has seen some things.
What about the time she strangled our other sister?
Now, Chris, we told you that was just a very bad dream.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. Sorry, but you guys aren't rich or influential enough to seamlessly cover up one of your kids murdering another. So while we'll probably never know the true story behind this claim, we kinda have to assume that, based on what we know now, this may not be too far outside of Meg's wheelhouse. And what we're also not sure about is why Meg was forced to wear an ankle monitor, eventually ending up cutting her whole foot off. So in And Then There's Fraud, you actually don't see a ton of Meg. But when you do, there's obviously something weird going on.
Sweetie, where's your hallway buddy?
Dad, I'm fine.
I know you're fine. I'm fine. We're all fine.
Now, what could Meg have done that made walking in the hallway by herself a big no-no? Like, I get it, I probably wouldn't want Meg prowling around my house unsupervised either, but still, something fishy's going on.
Guys, I just found Meg's ankle bracelet.
So?
Her foot's still in it.
Okay, so walking by herself in the hallway was the least of their worries. Isn't it great when an episode hints at a much more interesting story happening alongside the main plot? We'll never know why Meg is on the run or what got her that ankle bracelet to begin with, but it's still always cool to see how hardcore Meg can be. And she proved to be even more hardcore when she saved the day by decapitating a blast from Family Guy's past. So in Cutaway Land, the family gets stuck in the titular land of cutaways and needs to find a way out.
They must first journey back to the original Family Guy cutaway with Adolf Hitler and kill him.
Say no more. Trapped in another dimension or not, they're probably always down to clown on that guy.
Well, who's gonna kill Hitler?
Peter, I gotta admit, I'm not comfortable with this plan.
Yeah, that's fair. You can't just ask normal people to do something like that, even if it's a guy who deserves it. Luckily, they've got someone not so normal in the family.
Hitler head, yo! He cried like a when I did it.
While it makes total sense for her to do that, it's still hard to get around how gleeful she was about the whole thing. Maybe it's one of those don't knock it till you try it kind of things. So if you're ever gonna find yourself hopping through cutaways, just make sure you got a good amount of piano wire packed. But this wasn't the only time she killed someone, as she wound up killing Meg? So in a house full of Peters, Peter meets all his children created by donating a bit of his DNA. Apparently Lois's DNA is an iron wall, because without it, those Peter genes come through hard. Although there is one out of the bunch that looks suspiciously like Meg.
I'm your secret clone. We have been orphan blacked, and you soon will be dead.
I don't know what being orphan blacked means, and I'm kinda scared to Google it, but all you need to know is that technically after this episode, the Meg we see is actually a Russian agent.
I'm right here, Mom.
So does this count? Because Meg didn't get Meg killed, but Meg did technically arrange for the killing. So whatever Meg does technically counts because Meg is Meg. Can somebody call a Megbulance? I think I'm megging a stroke. But Meg doesn't stop killing there, as she once took out Peter's greatest enemy, Ernie the giant chicken. So in The Chicken or the Meg starts dating Nugget, the son of Ernie. And yeah, Peter handles that news about as well as you'd expect.
You either break up with him or you break up with me. You can't date us both.
That's true in both a moral and a legal sense. Can't date your dad, but you can date a chicken, apparently. Quahog really needs to give its laws another look over. So Meg decides to move in with Nugget and his family, but instead of paying rent, she's expected to share the same hatred for her dad that Ernie does.
Meg, either you hate your dad or you leave this house.
I mean, I'd probably disown my parents instead of having to pay rent, but that's just me. But Meg won't do it, so it looks like they'll have to settle their differences the only way they know how.
Wait, I can't hit you. You're a girl.
Huh.
Not very progressive of you, Ernie, and he ends up paying with his head. You know what's wild about this? Every time Peter beats the chicken, he always looks at the camera and hints that he'll be back. But not this time. Meg may have actually killed the giant chicken for good, something her dad couldn't even do. I guess Peter isn't operating on the same level of insanity as Meg. And since this was her third murder in a row, it's only right that this episode made us realize that Meg may just be a serial killer. So to make the long story of the episode trans fat short, Peter accidentally transitions into a woman after lying about his identity to reap the benefits. He confides in Ida, who makes him realize just what kind of jerk he's been. But that's not why we're talking about this episode.
What a day.
Oh, hey Meg. What you got going on? A wedding at a slaughterhouse, perhaps? Kids these days are picking the silliest wedding venues for aesthetics. This is such a quick throwaway scene just to build upon Meg's lore, but truth be told, this was even referenced earlier in the episode.
Is your daughter still killing people?
She is.
I like how nonchalantly they talk about it, like they're just discussing her part-time job or something. It's too bad we'll probably never get to see Jo go on a Meg hunt to stop her killing spree, but a clam can dream. But if she's not killing, then she's obliterating her bully with the power of her unsightly body. So like we talked about before in A Fistful of Meg, Meg becomes the target of the school's newest bully, who looks to wipe her off the face of the earth.
What am I gonna do?
Sounds like you have a pretty big problem, Meg.
Why yes, Quagmire does have office space in the girls' bathroom. It's kinda like a WeWork situation, but way more pee, which Quagmire probably likes.
I'm gonna help you defeat Mike Pulaski.
But instead of teaching her an actual fighting style, or, just handing her a gun, Quagmire encourages her to use her grossness to her advantage.
Your weird body can be a dangerous weapon if used properly.
Maybe going into this fight with negative confidence isn't the best strategy, Glenn. But when it comes time to fight, Meg embraces weaponizing her weirdness.
You'd be surprised what my face can do to you!
And if you think that's disgusting, wait until you find out Meg's carrying the whole dang Ark of the Covenant under her shirt. I know Meg needed to win the fight, but good God, man! Did you have to do it in a way where everyone learned what melted flesh smells like? There's killing someone, and then there's liquefying somebody's entire being, so that's why this one is so high up on the list. But what could be more messed up than turning someone into a puddle of goo? Well, the absolute most psychotic thing Meg has ever done, in our opinion, has to be when she tried to drug Chris so her crush could sleep with him just to know what it was like. So in Friends Without Benefits, Meg's on a date with a boy named Kent, only she's the only one who thinks it's a date.
I think you're great, and I love hanging out with you. But there's something you should know. I'm gay.
Yeah, Meg has definitely heard that one before. This may be the only time it's ever been actually true, but that doesn't mean Meg has to accept that answer.
Hook up with me! Come on! We can make this work! Just stick your head in here and pretend it's a butt!
Probably smells just about the same. I've seen the way she sweats in those shirts. But no dice, as Kent affirms he's only interested in other guys, like Chris, weirdly enough.
Well, if Kent hooks up with your brother, you could just have Chris describe every last detail to you.
What a twisted and disturbing thing to suggest. You're all right, Ruth. So Meg sets up a time and place for Chris and Kent to hook up, only Chris has no idea what's about to happen.
He's not as comfortable with his sexuality as you are yet, so he's gonna need to pretend to be asleep while it's happening.
This sounds like the kind of setup an undercover cop could only dream of creating, but she's 100% serious, and Kent is 100% for going along with this. Thankfully, when it comes time for Meg to slip Chris a little sleeping potion, she realizes what she's doing is wrong.
Can I have some of that Kool-Aid now?
No, actually you can't.
Okay, so you spared him, but now you gotta blue ball him on some Kool-Aid? I bet he was really looking forward to that. But even though she backs out, she completely forgets to call off the plan and deservedly gets her craziness called out.
I can see now that you're a complete psycho!
Normally, I'm not all for the whole Big Brother thinking about the crime is just as bad as committing the crime mantra, but yeah, this was kinda indefensible. Even the mere thought of this plan should have sickened Meg, and the fact that she came this close to going through with it is pretty unforgivable. Even though she didn't go through with it, it just goes to show how close she comes to committing some of the gravest crimes imaginable. And we love her for it, the little psycho. But what do you think is the craziest thing Meg's ever done? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.